Welcome back to Backspace Academy. So in this lesson we're going to run through the Amazon Relational database service, looking at backup, multi-availability zone setup for redundancy, the failover process that occurs with that multi-availability zone process, and read replicas to handle heavy read workload. So RDS backups, there are a number of options there. So the first one is that you can do DB snapshots of your database instance, and that will do the entire instance, and they're user initiated, and they'll dump that to Amazon S3. And there are also automated backups, and so they will back up your database data as such to S3. There is also an option there to encrypt both the database and the snapshots at rest. So multi-availability zone, now that is recommended for all production applications, and not only should your database be set up in multi-AZ, also your applications that are relying upon that database should also be in multi-AZ. And multi-AZ is available for all database types within the Relational database service. So what does that look like? So we would have a master database located in an availability zone there, A, and we would have a standby database instance there located in the other availability zone, and that would be asynchronously updating that standby instance from the master database whenever reads or whenever writes occur on that master database. So whenever information changes, that standby instance will be updated at the same time. So we need to have our application also across multi-availability zones. So I've got there two instances to serve that application underneath an elastic load balancer, because if our availability zone for whatever reason is taken out, then our instance can still access, well, our instance in the other availability zone can still access our standby instance, our standby database. And elastic load balancing will look after redeploying that instance when the availability zone comes back up. So the failover process. Now, the failover process can occur for a number of reasons. So it can take that database out. For example, a failed hard drive would do that. It also is put into effect when maintenance needs to be done on the database instance. So it goes into a failover mode, and the standby instance kicks in when maintenance is going on. So it's not only for situations that are unpredicted, but also for predictable maintenance situations. So the first thing that happens is that after the master database is taken out, the standby instance gets promoted to the master instance. So that S on the standby will become an M. It will become the master database. And to enable the routing of traffic through to that new master database, the CNAME record is changed to point to that new, or to the promoted standby instance. So that enables a very quick changeover from one to the other. It's done completely with DNS records to swap traffic over from one to the other. And then the standby of a new standby instance is then created in availability zone A, the availability zone that just got taken out, to replace that master database. And so that's the failover process, and only occurs if you select multi-AZ, which you should be doing unless it's for development purposes. For any production purpose, you must select multi-AZ and put your application also in those two availability zones. So another feature is read replicas, and so that's supported for Amazon Aurora, PostgreSQL, MySQL, and MariaDB databases. And you can have multiple read replicas, not just one. So Aurora, for example, can have up to 15 read replicas. So the thing about read replicas is that they are great. They can handle that heavy read workload that you need, but you can't just grab them and put them behind an elastic load balancer as you would with an EC2 instance. It just doesn't work like that. And it's not a feature that Amazon Web Services have implemented. A lot of people have been asking for it, but unfortunately it hasn't been implemented. So there are a number of things that you can do if you wanted to direct traffic to one endpoint and have that routed in the same way that Elastic Load Balancer would. What you can do is you can use Amazon Route 53 routing. So you would set up a record for that endpoint, and then Amazon Route 53 could route it to use weighted routing or whatever routing policy you would use to serve that traffic to the read replicas. Or you could use a third-party load balancer such as HA Proxy, which could manage that along with a bit of code to look after synchronization and this sort of thing. So that is how that would work. So normally you would just have a single read replica would be the simple way of doing it. And you would have the master database there would be the instance inside that master data inside that availability zone A would be using the master database for reads and writes. The other availability zone would be doing all of its reads through to the read replica and only doing the writes to the master database. So that's a very quick overview of Amazon RDS. We'll probably look more into that in the rest of the course, in particular in the SysOps or Solutions Architect course. See you in the next lesson.